The gala chandeliers gleamed like frozen stars, but the room's venom was a living thing, coiling around us. I'm Ethan Walker, a mechanic with hands scarred by labor. Standing beside Victoria Sterling, billionaire widow, her elegance a beacon in a sea of disdain. The elite clutched their flutes, their whispers sharpening into blades. Gold digger, her pet project. Their eyes cut through me, each glance a verdict. I didn't belong. Victoria's fingers tightened on my arm, her composure a wall against their scorn. But I felt their judgment like gravel in my bones. This wasn't a night, it was a crucible, exposing the rift between my world, Greece, sweat, a one-bedroom life, and hers, a realm of untouchable wealth. Years ago, I was just a dad, mending cars, raising Olivia, never dreaming I'd stand here, loving a woman whose fortune could eclipse my existence. Their prejudice was a gauntlet, daring us to falter. I wanted to shield Victoria, to prove I was more than their sneers, but doubt gnawed deep. Could I hold my ground in her world? The air crackled, every step a rebellion against their hate. We were a scandal made flesh, our bond a challenge they'd never forgive. The cost was steep, each sneer a reminder of the chasm we dared to bridge. If you've ever been stared down for who you love, for daring to cross lines drawn by others, you know this ache. Comment below. I've felt their eyes. I want to know how many of us have walked into a room that wanted us broken, a world that demanded we kneel. I'm Ethan Walker, 38, a man of calloused hands and a heart stitched with loss. I fix engines, raise my daughter Olivia, and carry a wound that festers, Sarah, my wife. Gone 5 years in a crash that left me and Olivia, then 3, adrift. I'm loyal, my love for Olivia fierce, but pride is my shadow, bristling at charity, snarling at pity. I'm haunted by failure, not enough for Sarah's memory, not enough for Olivia's dreams, not enough for a world that sees a mechanic as dust. My fear is a constant. I'll let them down. My modest life a chain holding me back. When Victoria found me, I was unraveling in the pediatric ICU, Olivia's breath a fragile thread. Victoria, a stranger then, sat beside me. Her silence heavy with grief. She'd lost her husband, her world, and in her gaze, I saw my own pain reflected, a shared language of sorrow. That moment broke me open, but it terrified me. A woman like her, draped in power and mourning, had no place in my life of cracked linoleum and unpaid bills. My pride roared she was beyond me, yet my heart clung to her quiet strength. I'm a man divided, craving her solace, dreading the cost of reaching for it. My wound is this, a father, a lover, forever fighting to be enough. The ICU's hum was a merciless hymn, its sterile light carving shadows on Olivia's face. She was 8, her chest laboring under tubes, each breath a battle. I sat, helpless, gripping her hand, Sarah's death a fresh wound tearing open. I'd failed to save her, and now Olivia was slipping. A photo of Sarah and Olivia, worn and creased, lived in my wallet, a talisman of my fractured world. I'd trace its edges, muttering promises to Olivia I wasn't sure I could keep. The hospital's clock mocked me, each tick a measure of my limits. That night, Victoria appeared, her presence a quiet storm. She sat, saying nothing, her eyes carrying a loss I knew too well. I held the photo tighter, shame burning as I drowned in despair, yet her silence was a rope thrown across my abyss. She was a stranger, yet her grief spoke to mine, a bridge I hadn't sought. For the first time since Sarah, I felt seen, but fear gripped me. I was a mechanic, buried in debt, and she was a world apart. That photo was my wound's shape, a man tethered to loss, afraid to hope, yet desperate for connection. But the world was sharpening its claws, and their strikes would cut deeper still. Victoria's face stared from a newsstand, her name in bold, billionaire, untouchable. The sight was a fist to my gut, my life, cramped apartment. Olivia's crayon sketches taped to peeling walls, suddenly small, unworthy. I wanted to find her, to thank her for sitting with me in the ICU's shadow, but my pride snarled. She'd see my frayed edges, my mechanic's hands, and turn away. Then she appeared at my garage, her smile a blade through my defenses. Coffee became dinners, her mansion's marble floors clashing with my scuffed boots. But the world watched, unyielding. Her elite circle, suits and pearls, shot me glances at fundraisers, one woman hissing, "He's a novelty, Victoria." My neighbors muttered too, their voices low. "She's slumming with him." Each word was a stone, piling on my shoulders, marking me as an intruder in her orbit. Olivia adored Victoria, her laughter a light in our tiny home. But I felt the chasm. Every moment with Victoria was a step toward her world and a step away from mine. Their judgment wasn't just words. It was a verdict, a wall I couldn't climb. Could I pull her into my life without breaking us? The pressure was a storm, their eyes lightning, waiting to strike. I was a man out of place, my love a defiance they'd never forgive, and the weight of it threatened to crush me. The betrayal came from Richard, Victoria's cousin, a man with a smile like a snake's. At a dinner, he leaned close, his breath sour. "You're a leech." "Ethan, she'll tire of her toy." Then he struck, leaking lies to the press, stories painting me as a hustler, a drifter chasing her wealth. Headlines screamed, "Sterling slum swindler." My coworkers smirked, customers stared, their eyes echoing the tabloids. Victoria fought the rumors, her voice sharp, but I caught her pause when a story claimed I'd conned a past employer. It was false, but Richard's venom worked, sowing doubt. My pride bled, my love for her questioned, my name dragged through mud. I stood naked under their gaze, a man fighting to be more than their caricature. The betrayal wasn't just Richard's, it was the world's, swallowing his lies whole. If someone you trusted turned on you, twisted your truth, you'd feel this burn. Comment below, was Richard a villain, or just protecting his own? Tell me, would you fight or walk away? I'm reading every word, needing to know who's been cut like this. I fought back, quiet but fierce. I rebuilt Victoria's vintage car, my hands pouring skill into steel, proving I was more than their labels. I brought her to my garage, showed her my world, Greece. Sweat, Olivia's giggles as we worked. She loved it, her eyes bright, but her offer to pay Olivia's lingering hospital bills lit a fuse. "I'm not your charity," I snapped, pride choking my reason. Still, I led her closer, cooking meals in our cramped kitchen, playing board games with Olivia, building something real. Each moment was a rebellion, a fist raised against their scorn. But fear clung to me, a shadow whispering. Could I defy their world without losing her? Their hate was a tide, relentless, and I was a man wading against it. My heart torn between love and the dread of failing her. Every laugh with Victoria was a victory, every whisper a reminder of the war we fought. I wasn't ready to surrender. But the cost of resistance was steep, and I wondered how long I could hold the line. Then Olivia's cough returned, a blade of fear slicing through our fragile hope. Olivia's cough returned, a jagged sound that tore through the quiet of our apartment. It was late, the city's hum distant, but her wheezing was a siren in my skull. The doctor's voice, calm but heavy, confirmed my dread. A possible relapse, her lungs fragile from the last battle. I sat in Metro General's stark waiting room, the same sterile hell where I'd nearly lost her before. My hands clutched that worn photo of Sarah and Olivia, its edges frayed like my nerves. Sarah's absence was a fresh wound, her death a failure I couldn't outrun. Now Olivia, my light, was slipping again, and I was powerless. Victoria was there, her presence a steady flame, but the chasm between us loomed larger than ever. Her world could summon specialists, fund treatments I'd never afford. Mine offered only grit and prayers. She spoke of covering costs, hospital bills, experimental therapies, a future for Olivia. My pride roared, a beast caged but snarling, refusing to let her save us. Yet fear for Olivia drowned it, a tide pulling me under. Richard's lies still lingered, his tabloid venom in every nurse's glance, every stranger's stare. They saw me as the gold digger, the leech, and I felt their verdict in my bones. The fear wasn't just losing Olivia, it was losing myself. If I took Victoria's help, would I become the man they claimed? A kept man, a shadow of her wealth? The hospital's fluorescent buzz mocked me, each second a reminder of my limits. I wanted to be enough, to stand tall for my girl, but the weight of it all, Olivia's cough, the world's hate, my own shame, threatened to break me. I was a man staring into an abyss. The photo in my hand a tether to a life I couldn't protect. Richard's next move was a dagger. A forged document landed in my mailbox, claiming I'd taken a loan from Victoria, money I'd never touched. His text followed, "Leave her, or this hits the press." My blood ran cold, but I drove to his office, the city's lights blurring past. I faced him, my voice low, trembling with rage. "You don't own me." His smirk was a blade, his confidence unshaken. "The world believes me, not you," he said. He was right. The press hounded us. their cameras flashing at Victoria's gate, their stories twisting tighter. At home, Olivia's fever spiked, her small frame shaking. I lashed out at Victoria, my fears spilling over. "I don't need your money to be a father." Her eyes dimmed, and she left, the silence louder than any fight. Richard's poison wasn't just words. It was a noose, tightening with every headline. The world's judgment was a storm, and I was caught in its eye, fighting not just him, but my own shame. I saw it in the mirror, a man unraveling, pride and love at war. If I stayed quiet, we might survive, but at what cost? Let Victoria go, let Richard win. And keep my pride? Or fight and risk everything? I stood at a crossroads, the forged paper in my hand, Olivia's cough echoing in my ears. If you were me, would you swallow the lie to protect your family, or stand up, knowing the world might crush you? Comment below. I need to hear your choice, because I'm still wrestling with mine. Olivia's fever broke at dawn, her smile a faint spark that lit my resolve. I found Victoria at her estate, the morning mist clinging to the lawns. "I'm scared," I admitted, my voice raw. "Scared I'll drag you down, scared I'm not enough." Her hand found mine, her voice steady. "We're stronger than their lies." That moment was a vow, not to her but to myself. I wouldn't let fear win, not for Olivia, not for us. I started digging, combing through Richard's lies, chasing proof of his schemes. A contact, a disgruntled ex-employee of his, slipped me a lead, bank records, hushed deals. Victoria's mind, sharp as a blade, cut through the noise, helping me trace his greed. My fear didn't vanish. It was a shadow, ever present. But I moved through it. I was a father, a lover, a man who'd lost too much to lose again. Olivia's laughter, Victoria's touch, they were my anchors, pulling me forward. I wasn't fighting for pride anymore. I was fighting for a future, for a world where my daughter could thrive, where love could stand against hate. The photo of Sarah and Olivia stayed in my pocket. Not a wound now, but a reminder. I'd survived loss before, and I'd survive this. My will was iron, forged in the hospital's long nights, tempered by Victoria's faith. I was done running. But the truth was a fire, and lighting it would burn more than I could imagine. The city's pulse thrummed outside my window, but inside, I was a man possessed, chasing shadows. Richard's lies had carved a wound, and I needed truth to stitch it shut. I scoured bank records, old emails, anything to unmask his greed. Nights bled into dawn, my eyes burning from screens. Coffee gone cold in chipped mugs. Olivia slept nearby, her soft breaths a reminder of why I fought. Victoria was my ally, her mind a razor, slicing through financial webs I barely understood. She'd seen Richard's betrayal coming, her family's empire a chessboard he played for power. A tip came from a bitter ex-colleague of his, a man nursing grudges in a dive bar. "Check the charity's offshore accounts," he muttered, sliding me a USB drive. It was a thread, fragile but real. We followed it, tracing transfers, dummy corporations. Richard's fingerprints on every dirty deal. He'd siphoned millions from Victoria's hospital wing, the same place Olivia had fought to breathe. The irony was a knife, his greed had touched my daughter's life, and I'd make him pay. But doubt clawed at me. Exposing him could fracture Victoria's world, her family's legacy. Was I a protector or a wrecking ball? I wasn't a hero, just a mechanic with a daughter to save and a woman to love. Each document we uncovered was a brick in a wall against him. But it felt like building a cage for us too. The world's eyes were on us, ready to call me a traitor for turning on our kin. Victoria's hand on my shoulder was a steadying force, her belief louder than my fears. We worked in her study, maps of Richard's deceit spread like a battlefield. I saw Olivia's face in every choice, her future hanging on this truth. My pride, once a shield, was now a tool, honed to carve out justice. I wasn't just seeking answers, I was seeking us, a life where love didn't bow to wealth or lies. The truth was close, a spark in the dark. But lighting it would demand everything I had. I met Richard in a shadowed bar, the air thick with smoke and regret. I slid the USB drive across the table, its weight heavier than steel. "Back off," I said, my voice low, steady despite the pulse hammering in my throat. "This ties you to the charity's missing funds." His eyes flickered, a crack in his polished mask, but he laughed, sharp and cold. "You're a nobody, Ethan. No one will believe you over me." His confidence was a blade, cutting at my resolve. I left, the city's neon glow a blur, my heart pounding with the gamble I'd made. That night, my garage's tires were slashed, glass shattered across the lot. Richard's warning, silent but clear. Olivia's drawing, taped to my fridge. Felt like a target now, her innocence caught in his crosshairs. Victoria urged me to go public, her voice fierce, but I hesitated. Olivia's health was stable, but another scare could ruin us. The press was a beast, hungry for our story, ready to twist my truth into betrayal. If I exposed Richard, I'd be the man who tore apart Victoria's family, the mechanic who dared too much. My pride wrestled with my love, each step a tightrope over a void. At home, I held Olivia close, her warmth a shield against the world's cold. Victoria joined us, her presence a fire. But I saw the strain in her eyes. Richard's lies had hurt her too. I wanted to protect her, to keep our dream alive, but the cost was climbing. The slashed tires were a message: stop or lose more. I stood in the wreckage of my garage, tools scattered like bones, and felt the world's weight. Was the truth worth this war? They'd call me a snake, a traitor to her blood. If you were me, would you risk your family for justice, or stay silent to keep the peace? Comment below. I need your voice, because this choice is tearing me apart. I made my stand in Victoria's study. The city's skyline is silent witness. We go public, I told her, my voice iron, forged in nights of doubt. Richard's done hiding. Her nod was a vow, her eyes burning with the same fire. I handed the evidence to a journalist, a friend of Victoria's who loathed Richard's kind. Run it, I said, the words a release, a line drawn in blood. This wasn't just for us, it was for Olivia. For every kid crushed by men like him, their futures stolen by greed. My declaration was a blade, cutting through fear, pride, all the chains that held me back. I saw the community center in my mind, a place for second chances, built on the ashes of Richard's lies. Victoria and I were all in, our love a fortress against the storm to come. I wasn't just a mechanic anymore, I was a father, a partner, a man who'd fight for what mattered. The world would scream, call me a betrayer, but I'd face it. Olivia's laughter, Victoria's touch, they were my North Star, guiding me through the dark. I thought of Sarah, her memory not a wound but a strength, urging me to live, to love, to build. The journalist's pen was our weapon, the truth our shield. We'd expose Richard, not for revenge, but for redemption, for a world where love could stand tall. My hands, once stained with grease, now held a future, and I wouldn't let it slip. The choice was made, the die cast. And I was ready for the fire. The truth broke like a dam, and the flood would test us all. The article hit like a thunderclap, its headline screaming Richard's theft across every screen in the city. Sterling charity embezzled. It read, his name inked in shame. I felt the weight lift. But only for a moment. The world's eyes turned, some cheering, others snarling. Social media churned, calling me a hero, a liar, a fool. I didn't stop. I met with Victoria's lawyers. Their polished office a far cry from my garage, but I held my ground, detailing Richard's schemes. Olivia's drawing, a stick-figure family, me, her, Victoria, sat in my pocket, her crayon lines fueling me. I spoke at a community meeting, my voice rough but clear, pitching our dream. The Maplewood Auto Community Center, a place for kids like Olivia, for second chances. Faces in the crowd softened, some nodded, their hands worn like mine. Victoria stood beside me, her presence a quiet fire, her business acumen already sketching plans. We weren't just fighting Richard, we were building something, a beacon against the dark. The press circled, their questions sharp, but I answered. My love for Victoria and Olivia louder than their doubts. My garage was quieter now, customers wary, but I worked harder, fixing cars by day, planning by night. Olivia's health held. Her laughter a reminder of what we fought for. I wasn't just a mechanic anymore. I was a man staking a claim, not for wealth but for hope. The center's blueprint took shape. Victoria's resources meeting my grit. We scouted a lot, an empty patch of dirt that felt like a promise. Each step was a defiance, a brick laid against the world's scorn. Richard's allies fought back, spreading whispers I was in it for fame, but I kept moving. The community meeting drew dozens, their stories echoing mine. Single parents, workers, dreamers crushed by men like Richard. I listened, their voices weaving into our vision. Victoria and I were a unit, our love a forge, shaping something bigger than us. The first action wasn't just a step, it was a leap. and I'd land or fall with them beside me. The charity board acted fast, stripping Richard of his title, a victory that echoed through the city. Funds he'd stolen were frozen. Some rerouted to our center. But the world didn't cheer long. Zoning for Maplewood stalled, wealthy locals sneering at riffraff in their backyard. Their petitions piled up. Their voices loud at City Hall, calling our dream a blight. My garage bled customers, folks I'd known for years now crossing the street, their whispers branding me a troublemaker. Victoria's elite circle tightened, some cutting her off, their invitations drying up. The pressure was a vice, squeezing us from all sides. I saw the strain in Victoria's eyes. Her empire fraying at the edges, yet she never wavered. At home, Olivia's cough lingered, not dire, but a shadow, each rasp a reminder of our fragility. I wondered if I'd pushed too far. If my fight was tearing us apart. The world split. Some saw us as rebels, others as fools chasing a pipe dream. Social media raged, one post calling me the people's champ, another a greedy upstart. Was I fighting for justice, or had pride twisted into vengeance? The center's lot stood empty, permits tangled in red tape, cost climbing. I worked late, my hands raw, fixing cars to keep us afloat. Victoria poured her wealth into legal battles, but money couldn't buy trust. A protest flared outside the lot, signs demanding we leave. I faced them, my voice steady. But inside, I quaked. Had I misjudged? Were we building hope or breaking ourselves? If you've ever fought for something bigger than you, only to hear you're too much, you know this split. Comment below. Am I chasing fairness, or am I lost in revenge? Your words matter. I'm reading them all. Olivia's letter changed everything. Scrawled in crayon, it reached Victoria's hands. Her words simple. You make Daddy smile. I found Victoria in her study, tears on her cheeks, the letter trembling in her grip. My heart cracked open, and I knew this was my fight, our fight. We'll build it, I told her, my voice a vow, no matter what. The center wasn't just a dream. It was our defiance, our love made stone and steel. I thought of Sarah, her memory a quiet strength, urging me to live, not mourn. My commitment was a fire, burning through doubt. I returned to the community, their faces now allies, their hands ready to build. We cleared the lot. My tools alongside theirs, dirt under our nails. Victoria learned their names, their stories, her wealth no longer a wall but a bridge. I spoke at another meeting, my words raw. This is for our kids. For us. The crowd roared, their faith a tide lifting me. Richard's shadow lingered, his allies whispering, but I was done bending. Olivia's health steadied, her laughter a beacon. I worked harder. My garage a lifeline, each repair a step toward Maplewood. Victoria's resolve matched mine, her plan sharper, her heart open. We faced the zoning board, my voice blending with hers. A mechanic and a titan, equal in purpose. The obstacles, protests, costs, whispers, were real, but so was our will. I saw the center in my mind, kids learning trades, futures forged. My pride, once a chain, was now a hammer, building instead of breaking. I wasn't just committed to Victoria or Olivia, I was committed to us all, to a world where love and grit. The Maplewood Auto Community Center's groundbreaking was a stage set for war, the lot alive with sweat and hope under a bruised sky. I stood on a makeshift platform. My boots caked in dirt, Victoria beside me, her presence a quiet storm. The crowd was a sea, locals with calloused hands, kids with dreams bigger than their pockets. Press with cameras glinting like predators' eyes. I spoke, my voice raw but steady, about second chances, about Olivia, about a place where grit could outshine gold. This is ours, I said. Built for us, by us. Heads nodded, some eyes wet, their claps a pulse against the city's hum. Victoria's hand brushed mine, her smile a spark in the gray. But the air tightened. A warning in the wind. Richard appeared, uninvited, his suit crisp, his face a mask of venom. He shoved through the crowd, shouting, "This is a sham. He's a fraud." His words were a match to dry grass, stirring murmurs, cameras swiveling. The crowd tensed, allies and skeptics alike, their faith in us teetering. I felt the old fear, the mechanic's shame. But I held my ground. Victoria's eyes met mine, fierce, unyielding. I raised a hand, silencing Richard's tirade, and turned to the crowd. "You know me," I said. "You know us." I pulled out a folder, bank records, emails, proof of his theft from the charity that funded this very hospital wing. The press leaned in, hungry. Richard's face paled, his bravado cracking. The crowd's mood shifted, their murmurs turning to gasps. This wasn't just a groundbreaking. It was a reckoning, our love and truth laid bare against his lies. The center sign, Maplewood Auto, loomed behind us, a symbol of what we'd fought for. Each shovel in the dirt was a defiance, each cheer a blow against the world's scorn. Richard's outburst was his last stand, and we were ready. The day was ours, but the fight was far from over, the world watching, waiting for us to falter. The truth came like a flood, unstoppable. A screen flickered to life behind us, rigged by a local tech who joined our cause. Richard's own words played, emails boasting of siphoned funds, bank transfers to hidden accounts, his greed etched in black and white. The crowd's gasps were a chorus, their eyes wide as the evidence unrolled. "This is your charity," I said, my voice cutting through the stunned silence, stolen by him. Victoria stepped forward, her voice steel. "We built this center to give back what he took." Her words were a blade, slicing through Richard's legacy. His face crumpled, the crowd's gaze turning to daggers. A woman in the back, her hands rough like mine, shouted, "Thief!" Others joined, their voices a tide. Richard tried to speak, but the crowd drowned him, their anger a living thing. I held up the forged loan he'd sent me, the lie that nearly broke us. "This was his weapon," I said, tearing it in half. The crowd roared, their faith in us surging. The press scribbled, cameras flashing, the story no longer about a mechanic and a billionaire, but about justice, raw and real. Victoria's hand found mine, our bond a beacon in the chaos. The center's foundation, half-poured, gleamed in the sun, a promise rising from Richard's ruin. We didn't gloat. We stood tall, letting the truth speak. Olivia, watching from the front, her eyes bright, clapped. Her small hands a reminder of why we fought. The world saw us now, not as a scandal, but as fighters, as builders. Richard fled, his shadow shrinking, the crowd parting like a sea. The truth wasn't just ours. It was theirs, the community's, a victory carved from pain. Each document on that screen was a brick in our dream. Each cheer a step toward redemption. We'd exposed him, not for vengeance, but for hope, for a future where love could stand unbowed. The crowd's roar softened, their eyes shifting, seeing us anew. A man in a worn jacket, a welder I'd met at the meetings, stepped forward, his hand outstretched. "You did good, Ethan," he said, his grip firm. Others followed, mothers, workers, kids, their nods a quiet revolution. A rich donor, once skeptical, pledged funds on the spot, his voice loud for the cameras. The elite who'd sneered at me, who'd called Victoria reckless, now stood silent, their judgment crumbling. The room, though it was no room, but a field of dirt and dreams, felt alive, its air charged with change. A local reporter, her pen still, clapped, her face soft. "You're more than they said." She told me, her words a balm. Victoria's smile was radiant, her hand in mine a vow unbroken. The center's sign caught the light, Maplewood Auto, a symbol of what prejudice couldn't kill. The crowd's cheers were for us, for them, for a world where a mechanic and a billionaire could build together. I thought of Olivia, her letter, her love, and knew this was her victory too. The moment was electric, a crack in the world's armor, their scorn replaced by respect. If you've ever stood tall and watched the world rethink you, you know this fire. Share your story below. When did you make them see you? I'm reading every comment, because moments like this, when hate falters, are why we fight. But even triumph leaves scars, and the quiet after the storm would demand a reckoning within. The triumph at Maplewood's groundbreaking faded under a cold moon, and I found myself at Sarah's grave. The grass worn where I'd knelt before. The headstone was simple, her name etched in stone, but it carried the weight of my failures. Had I betrayed her by loving Victoria? Was I enough for Olivia? For the center, for a woman whose world dwarfed mine? The wind bit my face, whispering doubts I'd buried in the crowd's cheers. Richard's defeat was a victory, but it left me raw, exposed. I was still Ethan Walker, a mechanic with grease under his nails, not a hero. The community saw me as one, but I saw a man who'd gambled his daughter's peace for a dream. Olivia's letter, Victoria's faith, they were anchors, but my pride was a storm, churning questions. What if I'd pushed too far, torn Victoria's life apart? The photo in my wallet, Sarah and Olivia, smiling, felt like an accusation. I'd built something new, but at what cost? The center's sign, Maplewood Auto, loomed in my mind, a symbol of hope, but also a mirror reflecting my fear. I'd never be enough. The world's applause was hollow when my own heart wavered. I knelt, the earth cold, and asked Sarah if I'd lost my way. The silence was cruel, my doubts a tide pulling me under, threatening to drown the man I'd fought to become. The fear wasn't new. It was an old wound, festering since Sarah's crash, now torn open. I was terrified of losing again, Olivia to illness, Victoria to the world's pull, myself to the shadow of inadequacy. Alone at the grave, I admitted it. I was scared to love, scared to fail. Sarah's memory wasn't a chain anymore, but a voice, soft, urging me to live. I saw Olivia's face, her crayon letter, her trust in me. I saw Victoria, her hand in mine, her belief a fire that warmed my bones. The fear was real, but so was I. I stood, the night heavy, and faced it. I wasn't replacing Sarah. I was honoring her by choosing love, by building instead of breaking. The center, the community, our dream, it was my answer to loss, to fear. If I stayed silent, hid from this, I'd be the man they called me, a nobody. But I wasn't. I was a father, a lover, a builder. If you've ever fought alone, feeling the world against you, you know this ache. Comment below. Have you faced a fear that made you feel small? Share it. I'm here, reading, because we're not alone in this. I left the graveyard, the stars sharp overhead, my heart steady for the first time in years. I chose Victoria, not as a replacement, but as a partner, her strength my own. I chose Olivia, her future my purpose. I chose the center. Its dirt and dreams a testament to what I could build. My pride, once a wall, was now a foundation, grounding me. I wasn't just enough. I was more. A man who'd faced loss and fear and kept going. The photo of Sarah and Olivia stayed in my pocket, not a wound, but a light, guiding me forward. I drove to Victoria's, the city's glow a quiet promise. I'm all in, I told her, my voice firm. Her eyes meeting mine with a love that silenced doubt. The center wasn't just a place, it was us, our defiance, our healing. I saw Sarah's smile in my mind, not accusing but proud, and knew I'd chosen right. My reaffirmation wasn't loud. It was a quiet vow, to love, to fight, to be the man they needed. The world could roar, but I was rooted, my heart a forge, shaping a future from pain. But the world's chaos wasn't done, and our victory would face sharper tests. The Maplewood Auto Community Center's groundbreaking was a spark, and the city caught fire. Crowds split like a cracked stone. Some hailed us, their hands raised in gritty salute. Others cursed, their voices sharp with scorn. Social media was a battlefield, posts calling me a savior, a destroyer, a fool who dared too much. Ethan Walker's a hero, one thread read, pinned with photos of our dirt-streaked lot. He's tearing families apart, another spat. Richard's allies fanning flames. Victoria's elite circle turned colder, their invitations gone, her name whispered as reckless, tainted by me. Protests flared outside the center's site. Signs branding us intruders, our dream a blight on their polished streets. Locals I'd known for years, men I'd fixed cars for, crossed the street, their eyes avoiding mine. My garage was a ghost town. Tools idle, bills piling like dry leaves. Olivia's cough, though faint, was a shadow, her laughter dimmed by the chaos. The world's reaction wasn't just noise, it was a fist pounding at our resolve. Victoria stood firm, her wealth a shield, but I saw the cost in her tight smile. The community we'd rallied, workers, single mothers, kids clung to us, their faith a thin rope in the storm. But the rich fought harder, their lawyers circling, zoning laws twisted to choke our plans. I walked the lot at dusk, the Maplewood Auto sign half-raised, and felt the weight of their hate. Was I building hope or breaking us? The question gnawed, my pride a raw nerve. If you've ever stood up and felt the world push back, you know this split. Comment below. Would you speak out? Risking all or stay silent to keep peace? I'm reading every word, because this fight's not just mine, it's ours. The chaos grew teeth. A fire broke out at the center's site. Flames licking the foundation we'd poured. Arson, the report said, Richard's allies suspected but unproven. Weeks of work turned to ash, funds burned with it. The news ran wild. Some calling it justice, others tragedy. They got what they deserved, a commenter wrote. The words a knife in my gut. Victoria and I fought, our voices sharp in her study. Exhaustion cracking our unity. "We can't stop," she said, but I saw doubt in her eyes, mirroring mine. The community rallied, their hands clearing debris, but the setbacks piled, permits delayed, costs soaring, protests louder. My garage lost another client, the bank's letters colder. Olivia's school called, her grades slipping, the chaos seeping into her world. I held her at night, her small frame trembling, and felt like a man who'd bet his family and lost. Richard's shadow loomed, his allies whispering to the press, painting us as reckless dreamers. The center's lot was a scar now, half-built, mocked by passing cars. I stood in the wreckage, my tools useless, and wondered if I'd misjudged. Victoria's wealth couldn't fix this, nor could my grit. The world's reaction was a spiral, pulling us down, our love straining under the weight. I saw Sarah's face in my mind, her memory a question. Had I gone too far? The fire's smoke lingered in my clothes, a reminder of how fast hope could burn. We were fighters, but the battle was bleeding us dry, and I feared we'd break before we built. From the ashes, we rose, leaner, fiercer. The community's hands, rough, steady, cleared the rubble, their voices louder than the protests. We rebuilt, smarter, using salvaged materials. My skills guiding workers who'd become family. Victoria's acumen secured a grant, not enough, but a start. The fire had forged us, our purpose sharper. I drove to Sarah's grave, the night heavy, and spoke to her, not in doubt but in clarity. "I'm building for us," I said, my heart steady. The next day, I proposed to Victoria, not with a ring but a wrench, engraved, our future. Her yes was a flame, brighter than the arson's glow. The center's lot transformed, beams rising, the Maplewood Auto sign proud against the sky. The protests didn't stop, nor the whispers, but they were noise now, not chains. Olivia's smile returned, her drawings of the center taped to our fridge. I worked the site, my hands blistered, Victoria beside me, her suit swapped for jeans. The new circumstance wasn't just a rebuilt lot, it was us, redefined. We weren't just surviving. We were creating, our love a foundation stronger than stone. The world's chaos had tested us, but we'd found a new rhythm, a life where grit and heart could hold. Each nail driven was a vow, each day a step toward a dream that no fire could kill. But the world's eyes were still on us, and unexpected allies would shift the tide. The Maplewood Auto Community Center's lot was a skeleton of beams and dirt, rising from the arson scars when they came. Workers, kids, families, faces I'd seen in passing, their hands rough like mine, their eyes carrying the same hunger for something better. Mike led them, a lanky teen I'd taught to change oil at my garage. His grin fierce under a frayed cap. "We're with you, Ethan," he said, his voice cracking with conviction. Behind him stood dozens, single mothers, mechanics, kids who dodged trouble but not dreams. They'd heard of the center, our fight, and they wanted in. Their presence was a pulse, a tide turning under the city's gray sky. I'd expected resistance, more protests from the elite. But not this, a groundswell of grit, their boots trampling the ashes of doubt. Mike handed me a toolbox, his own, scuffed but solid. "For the kids," he said, and I saw Olivia in his eyes. A future worth building. Victoria stood beside me, her suit traded for denim, her gaze meeting theirs with respect, not pity. These weren't her people, not her world, but she saw their strength. Same as I did. The lot buzzed, their voices a chorus against the wind, promising to lift what we'd started. They weren't just allies, they were proof our dream wasn't ours alone. The center's sign, Maplewood Auto, caught the light, a beacon for those who'd been counted out. My heart, battered but stubborn, swelled. This was what we'd fought for, a spark from the margins, ready to burn bright. We worked as one, our hands weaving a new rhythm. I showed Mike how to frame a wall, his focus sharp, his laughter loud when he nailed it. Victoria learned names, Lila, a mother who'd lost a son to the streets. Javier, a welder with dreams bigger than his paycheck. She listened, her questions real, her wealth no barrier, but a tool. We shared meals on the lot, folding tables under dusk, Olivia passing out sandwiches, her giggles binding us. Each story they told, of loss, of fight, of hope, wove into ours, a tapestry of scars and dreams. I saw Victoria change, her polish softening, her heart open to their fire. Lila took her hand one night, thanking her for seeing them, and Victoria's eyes shone, no words needed. My garage, near empty, became a hub. Tools shared, skills taught. Javier fixed a beam I'd botched, his grin a lesson in humility. These bonds weren't just for the center, they were for us, a family forged in dirt and sweat. Olivia drew the crew, her crayons capturing their faces, taping them to the site's fence. The elite's protests faded, their voices drowned by our hammers. Victoria and I stood shoulder to shoulder, our love stronger for it, rooted in this shared purpose. The center rose, not just beams but belief, each nail a promise between us all. We weren't building a place, we were building each other, a strength no fire could touch. The community became our spine. When the rich pushed back, their lawyers snarling over zoning, Lila organized a rally, her voice ablaze through their suits. Hundreds came, their signs bold, Maplewood stands, their chants shaking City Hall. Mike led kids to clean the lot, their hands small but fierce, turning rubble into pride. Javier's welds held the frame, his skill a rebuke to those who'd called us rabble. The center's walls rose, each one a defiance, a proof that together we were unstoppable. Victoria secured a donor. Swayed by the crowd's fire, not her name. I spoke at the rally, my voice rough but true. This is ours, for our kids, our future. The cheers were a roar, drowning the elite's whispers. Olivia ran through the lot, her laughter a thread tying us. The Maplewood Auto sign stood proud, no longer a target but a flag. We faced setbacks, delays, costs, but the community carried us. Their hands lifting what mine couldn't. They weren't just helping, they were claiming this dream, making it theirs. The power wasn't in money or might. It was in us, in the shared sweat, the shared scars. We were a force, a tide that no wealth could turn back, building not just a center, but a world where we all belonged. But the spotlight burned hotter, and the world's gaze would test our newfound strength. The city's pulse quickened as our story broke wide, a wildfire across screens and airwaves. News vans lined the Maplewood Auto Community Center's lot, their cameras glinting like hawk's eyes. Headlines screamed, "Mechanic and billionaire defy odds," some with grainy photos of me. Grease on my hands, Victoria beside me, her gaze fierce. Others were cruel, calling us a publicity stunt. My name dragged through mud again. Social media was a storm, posts praising our grit. Others spitting venom. "He's using her. She's lost her mind." The center's sign, Maplewood Auto, flashed on every channel, a symbol now, not just a dream. Reporters hounded us, their questions sharp, but I faced them, my voice steady. This is for our kids, our community. Victoria's poise was a blade, cutting through their skepticism. The media's glare was a double edge. Some outlets lifted us, others tore us down, their words a mirror of the world's split heart. I saw Olivia's face in my mind, her crayon drawings of the center, and felt the weight of their gaze. Why did speaking truth make us targets? The question burned, my pride a raw nerve. If you've ever been judged for standing up, for daring to be more, you know this sting. Comment below, why do victims get hated for speaking out? Share your thoughts. I'm reading every one, because this fight's bigger than me. The law moved, slow but sure. Like a tide turning. Richard faced charges, embezzlement, fraud, his empire crumbling under the weight of our evidence. Court papers stacked high, each one a nail in his coffin. His name stripped from the charity he'd bled dry. The center gained grants, not from elites, but from groups who saw our truth. Their funds a lifeline for our beams and walls. Justice wasn't loud. It was a quiet shift, a balance tipping. The community cheered, their hands raising tools again, the lot alive with purpose. But it was bittersweet. I stood on the site, the city's hum distant, and felt no joy in Richard's fall, only relief. Olivia ran past, her laughter a spark, but I saw the cost. Victoria's family, fractured, my garage, still struggling. The world's applause was thin when scars remained. We'd won a battle, but the war was in us, in the kids we'd build for, in the dreams we'd dared. Justice answered. Not with fanfare, but with space to grow, a chance to make Maplewood more than a name. My hands, rough from work, held Victoria's, our love a quiet victory, stronger than any verdict. The center's foundation was set, a promise rising, and I knew this was just the start, a step toward a world where truth could stand. I let go of hate, not for Richard, but for me. Standing on the lot, the Maplewood Auto sign catching dawn's light, I forgave him, a weight lifting from my chest. Hate was a chain, and I'd carried it too long through Sarah's loss. Through Richard's lies, through the world's scorn. I chose freedom, not for his sake, but for Olivia's, for Victoria's, for the kids who'd walk through our doors. Victoria stood beside me, her hand in mine, her own forgiveness quiet but real. We didn't speak of it. We built instead, our hammers louder than anger. The community felt it too. Lila, Mike, Javier, their hands steady, their eyes clear, no room for venom when hope was at stake. I thought of Sarah, her memory a soft glow, urging me to live, not curse. The center was our answer. Its walls a refusal to let hate define us. Olivia's drawings, taped to the site's fence, were a map of love, not revenge. The world could keep its rage. We'd keep our purpose, our grit, our dream. Each nail driven was a release. Each beam a step away from the dark. We weren't saints, just people choosing light over shadow, building where others would burn. My heart was steady, my love for them a fire that no hate could dim. But the fight wasn't over, and a final challenge would test our resolve. The Maplewood Auto Community Center stood half-built, its beams stark against a sullen sky when the blow came. A lawsuit, filed by a coalition of elite landowners, landed like a stone through glass. They claimed our lot violated zoning codes. A technicality sharpened by their wealth, their signatures heavy with names I'd seen at Victoria's galas. Their goal was clear: tear down our dream, erase the riffraff from their polished horizon. The notice arrived at dawn, its legal jargon a cold blade, threatening to seize the land we'd bled for. I stood on the site, the Maplewood Auto sign swaying in the wind, and felt fear rise like bile. Olivia's laughter, faint from the trailer where she drew, was a fragile threat against the storm. Victoria's face tightened, her empire no shield against this. The community, Mike, Lila, Javier gathered, their eyes hard but shaken. We'd faced fires, protests, but this was different, a noose tightened by money and power. Richard's shadow lingered, his allies likely behind this, their vengeance cloaked in law. My garage, barely afloat, couldn't survive another hit, and Olivia's health, though stable, was a constant hum of worry. The world's scorn had never left, only waited, and now it struck, aiming to bury us. I clutched the wrench I'd given Victoria, engraved our future, and wondered if we'd been fools to hope. The threat was real, its teeth bared, and I felt the old doubt mechanic, nobody creep back, whispering I'd fail them all. We faced them in court, a sterile room where wealth wore suits and smirked. I stood, my voice rough but unyielding, detailing our work, the kids we'd serve, the community's need. Victoria was a force, her logic a blade, cutting through their claims with facts, permits secured, codes met. The judge's eyes flicked between us, a mechanic and a billionaire, and the elite's lawyers, their arguments polished but hollow. Outside, our community rallied. Their signs, Save Maplewood, a chorus against the city's hum. Mike spoke, his teenage voice cracking but fierce. Lila's story of loss silenced the room. Their presence was our strength. Their lives proof the center mattered. The lawyers sneered, calling our dream a public nuisance, but I saw cracks in their facade, the judge's pen pausing. Victoria's hand brushed mine. Our love a quiet fire, burning through fear. I thought of Olivia, her drawings of the center, and spoke her name, my voice breaking. This is for her, for them. The room stilled, the elite's confidence wavering. We weren't just fighting for land. We were fighting for a world where we belonged. The confrontation wasn't loud, but it was fierce, our truth against their power, our grit against their gold. The community's voices outside grew louder, a tide no wealth could turn, and I knew we'd given all we had. The judge ruled at dusk, her voice calm. The lawsuit dismissed, Maplewood's land ours. No cheers erupted, just a collective breath, a weight lifting. Outside, the community embraced, their hands dirt-streaked, their eyes bright. Mike grinned, Lila wept, Javier raised a fist. Victoria's smile was soft, her hand in mine a vow unbroken. The Maplewood Auto sign stood proud, no longer a target but a triumph. The victory was quiet, not in headlines, but in the lot's steady pulse, the beams waiting for our hands. My garage would limp on, Olivia's health would hold, and our love, Victoria's and mine, endured. A root deeper than any storm. The elite retreated, their power blunted, their scorn irrelevant. I saw Sarah's face in my mind, her memory a nod, not a wound. We'd won, not with noise, but with work, with love, with community. The center was more than walls. It was us, a proof that grit and heart could stand. I held Olivia close, her warmth a promise, and knew this was enough. The world could watch, but we'd build, our victory a quiet fire, burning for those who'd come after. With the fight won, healing waited, a soft dawn after the long night. The Maplewood Auto Community Center stood, its beams solid against a dawn that broke soft in gold, but my heart still carried scars. Olivia was my guide, her small hand in mine, her laughter a thread pulling me from the dark. She'd seen the fire, the protests, the courtroom's cold glare, yet her eyes held no fear, only love. For me, for Victoria, for the world we'd built. At 8, she was wiser than I'd ever be, her crayon drawings of the center taped to its walls, each line a map to redemption. She'd run through the lot, her voice calling Mike, Lila, Javier. Their names a song of family. One evening, she tugged me to the site's edge, pointing to the Maplewood Auto sign. "You made this, Daddy," she said, her smile a balm. I knelt, her warmth against me, and saw Sarah in her face, not a wound, but a light, urging me to live. Olivia's faith was my healing, her trust in Victoria a bridge over my doubts. She'd sit with us at night, her stories of school weaving us tighter, her giggles erasing the world's noise. Victoria, too, leaned on Olivia, her empire softened by a child's touch. They'd paint together, Olivia's colors splashing Victoria's hands, their laughter a defiance of the elite's scorn. I watched, my pride quiet now, no longer a wall but a root, grounding me. Olivia wasn't just my daughter. She was my teacher, showing me that love could mend what loss had torn. The community saw it too, Mike, learning trades, his grin like Olivia's, Lila, her grief lighter, her hands steady. They'd gather around Olivia, their stories shared, their scars bared. She'd listen, her small nods a gift, her presence a reminder of why we'd fought. The center was her legacy as much as ours, its walls echoing her joy. I held her close, the city's hum distant, and knew she'd saved me, not with words, but with her heart, her belief that we were enough. My healing began in her eyes. A slow dawn after a long night, a promise that love could rebuild what fear had broken. Forgiveness was a quiet act, not loud but deep, like roots sinking into earth. I stood on the center's lot, the Maplewood Auto sign catching dusk's glow, and let go of the weight I'd carried. I forgave myself for Sarah's loss, for the years I'd thought I'd failed her. Her death wasn't my fault, I saw now. Her memory a spark, not a chain. I forgave my pride, the beast that had snarled at Victoria's help, that had kept me from love. It wasn't weakness to lean on her, it was strength, a choice to build together. I forgave the world's hate, the elite sneers, Richard's lies, the fire that had scarred our dream. They'd hurt us, but they couldn't define us. Victoria joined me, her hand in mine, her own forgiveness unspoken but real. She'd let go of her family's betrayal, Richard's greed, the society that had turned from her. We stood, the wind soft, and released the anger that had bound us to pain. The community felt it too. Lila forgave the streets that took her son, her hands now building for others. Javier let go of years of being unseen. His weld's a testament to his worth. Olivia ran past, her laughter a call to let go, her love a mirror of what we could be. I thought of Sarah, her smile in my mind, and forgave the grief that had kept me small. The center was our answer, its walls a refusal to let pain win. We didn't speak of forgiveness, we lived it, our hammers louder than regret, our dreams brighter than loss. The world could keep its judgment, we'd keep our peace, our purpose, our love. Each step on the lot was a release, each beam a choice to heal, not hate. My heart was steady, my love for Victoria and Olivia a fire that no scar could dim. We were not unbroken, but we were whole, our forgiveness a quiet victory, a path to a life where love could bloom. If you've ever had to forgive, to free yourself from pain, share it below. Your story matters. I'm reading, because healing is a fight we all know. The Maplewood Auto sign was our symbol, its letters bold against the center's rising walls, a beacon in the city's gray. It wasn't just a name, it was a promise, a proof that love and grit could outlast hate. I stood before it, Olivia's hand in mine, Victoria's arm around us, the community, Mike, Lila, Javier gathered close. The sign had weathered fire, protests, doubt, yet it stood, like us, scarred but unbowed. Each letter was a story, the nights we'd planned, the days we'd rebuilt, the hands that had lifted it high. Olivia pointed to it, her voice bright. "That's us, Daddy." She was right. It was her laughter, Victoria's fire, my stubborn heart, the community's sweat. The sign caught the sun, its shine a defiance of the elite's scorn. A reminder of the kids who'd learned trades here, who'd find second chances. I thought of Sarah, her memory woven into its steel, not a wound but a nod, a blessing on what we'd built. The center was nearly done, its walls ready for paint, its rooms waiting for life. The sign was our healing made flesh, a marker of where we'd been and where we'd go. We worked beneath it. Our tools a chorus, each nail a step away from pain. Victoria's eyes met mine, her love a steady flame, and I knew this was enough. The community saw it too, their hands tracing the sign's edges, their stories tied to its strength. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours, a symbol of what loss couldn't kill. The city's hum faded, the world's noise irrelevant. We had this, our healing, our home. The sign stood for Olivia, for the kids to come, for a world where love could win. My heart was full, my scars a map, not a cage, guiding us to a future we'd earned. Healed, but not finished. We stepped into a new dawn, ready to inspire. The Maplewood Auto Community Center stood complete, its walls solid under a sky bruised with dawn. We married there, Victoria and I. Our vows spoken on the lot where we'd fought and bled. The community filled the space, Mike, Lila, Javier, their faces bright, Olivia between us, her dress dusted with crayon flecks. The Maplewood Auto sign gleamed above, a witness to our promise. No elite graced our day. It was ours, raw and real, the air thick with laughter and grilled food from folding tables. I wore no suit. Just a clean shirt, my wrench engraved, our future, in my pocket, Victoria's hand in mine. She was radiant, her wealth stripped to love, her eyes my home. The center's floor, still smelling of fresh paint, held us as we danced, Olivia's giggles a melody. My garage limped on, but it was enough, the bills lighter now, grants easing the strain. Olivia's health held. Her cough a memory, her drawings taped to our new home's walls, a small house near the center, bought with our sweat, not Victoria's gold. The world's noise faded, the elite scorn irrelevant. We were stable, not grand, but whole. Each morning, I woke to Victoria's breath, Olivia's chatter, the center's hum beyond our window. We worked there, me teaching kids to fix engines. Victoria guiding the business side, her acumen a quiet force. The community was our family, Lila's meals, Javier's welds, Mike's grin as he mentored younger kids. Sarah's memory was a soft glow. Not a wound, her blessing on this life. Our days were work, love, purpose, the center a heartbeat tying us to the city's edge. Stability wasn't wealth. It was this, hands joined, dreams built. A life carved from grit. I stood on the lot at dusk, the sign catching starlight, and knew we'd won, not against the world, but for ourselves, for Olivia, for the kids who'd walk through those doors. Maplewood became a beacon, its doors open, kids streaming in to learn trades. Welding, mechanics, carpentry. Mike, now a teacher's aide, guided a boy through an oil change. His patience a mirror of mine. Lila mentored mothers, her story of loss a light for their own. Javier's welds held the center's new wing, his pride a lesson for kids who'd felt unseen. Our story spread, not in headlines but in whispers, then shouts. A local news crew filmed the center, their lens catching Olivia's laugh, my hands on a kid's wrench. Victoria's quiet talks with donors. The segment aired, and letters came, parents, workers, dreamers, saying we'd given them hope. You showed us we can fight, one read. From a single dad in a town I'd never seen. Social media carried us further, posts of kids with their first tools, tagged hashtag Maplewood Auto. We spoke at a nearby school, Victoria's voice sharp. Mine rough, telling them love and grit could shift the world. A girl, eyes like Olivia's, asked how we kept going. I said, for each other. The center grew, a second site planned. Our model shared with other cities. I saw Sarah in every kid's spark, her memory fueling this fire. The community wasn't just ours. It was theirs, a ripple from our pain to their possibility. We weren't heroes, just proof that scars could build, not break. Each kid's smile was a victory, each skill learned a defiance of the elite's world. Victoria and I stood back, watching. Our love a quiet engine driving this. The center wasn't a place, it was a movement, a proof that second chances weren't dreams but deeds. We inspired not by preaching but by doing. Our lives a map for those who'd follow. The center's doors swung wide, kids pouring in, their voices a tide under the Maplewood Auto sign, now weathered but proud. Victoria and I stood at the entrance, Olivia between us, her hand in mine, her drawings taped inside, a gallery of hope. The lot, once ash and dirt, was alive, tools clanging, laughter rising. The community's heart beating strong. Mike taught a class, Lila cooked for a crowd, Javier welded a new gate, their work a chorus of what we built. The sign caught the sun. Its letters a symbol of our rebirth, a proof that love could outlast hate, that grit could forge a future. I saw Sarah's smile in the kids' faces, her memory woven into this place. Not a shadow, but a star. We weren't perfect, scars lingered, bills waited, but we were whole, our love a fire no storm could dim. I spoke to the crowd, my voice steady. Love builds what hate can't break. The words hung, simple, true, a vow to them, to us. The center was our legacy, not for fame, but for the kids who'd find their way here. For the community that held us up. If you've risen from your darkest place, stood tall when the world pushed back, don't keep it inside. Share your story below. Your fight could be someone's light. I read every comment, because we're in this together, lifting each other from the margins. Thank you for walking this road with us. Support this channel, share our tale, and we'll keep telling stories of hope, of second chances, of love that won't bow. We're not done. We're just starting, promising more for you, for the kids, for a world where dreams like Maplewood can stand.